Okay, so this is the visitor extravaganza event. The reason for this is a way to pool our resources and to be able to get more people into the group. As we talked about last week, they said a group that goes from 25 to 35 more than doubles the referrals that happen in a month. More than doubles. So at times when we get started in business, you get really busy, you get really wired up, but then as the business gets along, you kind of go, oh, I'm doing okay, there's no energy, no urgency. But there's always people falling off the grid, so there's always a need to be able to increase referrals, increase business, increase and move forward. So that's what this is, to be able to, for us as businesses, as a group, to get more people into the group and expand what we have. So part of the sheet that you see here is all the different categories that are within BNI. And so we obviously, meeting at noon, have hard limitations versus someone who's in the morning who would have contractors or different people who would be are busy during the day. So we might look at in groups that are not time limited like that, like CEOs. Can you imagine having a CEO of a major corporation or a big corporation here, all the services they would use for us? Having, look at this and how is it going to benefit you? What's in your power team? What does your power team need to be able to expand, to grow? So be really kind of what's going to benefit us in my field, those kind of things. So I was looking through this list, all the different ones, and there's some I didn't know. There's one under wellness that says wolfing. And I didn't know if there's a category where PJ works you too hard and you start throwing up wolfing. But no, it's a kind of massage. But you just never know what's going to be, in these different groups. So it's look through, figure out who you know. You might trigger people you know by just looking through the list. The goal per person is to have 40 names. Name, phone number, mailing address. And that's a crazy amount of people you think of. Everybody goes deer in headlights. I don't know 40 people. But, and they say, so why did they come up with that 40 people? So say for the sheer numbers, they call it half and half and half and half. So you have a group of 20, and if everybody in that group writes out 40 letters, that's 800, right? So put out 800. So of that 800, half of those people are going to open the letter you sent to them. So half of that's 400. Half of those will be reached when you try to follow up with them. They won't take the call, they won't do whatever. So half of that. So half of those will say yes to coming to a meeting. So 100. Half of those will actually show up to the event, which is April 3rd. Thank you. So, and that meeting is a 2-hour meeting. So to be able to do it longer. So Rob, we know if we're having it here or someplace else yet?
I think we're going to do it here. When we're done, since we're ahead of schedule, I'll grab a couple of people. I want to set up the tables and see how it works. I think it'll work in here.
That'd be great. So we're hoping to have 50 to 60 people during this event, members and people you invite. So we got of the 50, half that are going to actually apply. Think this is a benefit for them. Some will just come because they want to network and those kind of things. Half of those will be inducted. So 12 and 13. We're going to say 12.5. So 12 and 13 will actually work. So that will be basically doubling the amount of referrals we pass in 1 month. It may not be to doubling yours, but it goes through. But it will significantly increase increase business. And who knows where it's going to go through from there. So that's why. And I did not bring a reason. But
I'll just start erasing.
yeah,
Just take your time.
So they say, why do this? Why not just send a mailing to all West Seattle? 800 letters, only 1% of a direct mailing will open it, even open this. And when we do this, they'll have a personalized letter for us that you'll be able just to use your computer and mail over to, it'll spit out all the letter and address that to that person. We want everybody to handwrite the address, though, because you are more likely to open an envelope that's been hand-dressed versus a sticker or a printed label kind of thing. So that's why it's so important. So, 800 people, 800 letters, 4 show up, 4 reply, 2 join. 2 versus 12. It's so, and the company knows this is, and I borrowed some feedback for a second. So,
Did you just call me back?
yes,
You did.
this is your comfort zone. This is what you're used to. Out here is where the magic happens. And this is with coming to BNI, this is starting a business, anything. Getting out of your comfort zone. And this is part of it. So that's why we're doing all this. I have no clue. So, but the BNI knows this is a stretch for everybody. So they have event, a winning. So any group that has 6 or more members join during this are going to be in a drawing. If you have your name on someone's sponsor list, then you'll be in that drawing. The drawing is to New Orleans. It's at BNI, must be a conference. You hear the speaker, the founder speak. They pay for airfare, transportation to the hotel, the event, the whole thing. And they have certain rules and regulations are in the flyer about that. So it's a nice thing. I mean, you will connect to other people. New Orleans, great food, wonderful music, great architecture. Exactly. So that's what they're kind of an inspiration to get you to do this. So everybody says, I don't know 40 names. So if we could show you an easy way to come up with 40 names, would you give it your best shot? So they talk about this in 4 different tiers. So you can put it in 4 different. So yep, exactly. Tier 1 is 10 people you love and trust. Ask them for don't necessarily ask them, but who they know. Oh, I see you had your roof done recently. Who is your roofer? What'd you think of it? When you had that plumbing problem, who'd you have done do this? Who's your CPA? And asking for this referral, because not only do we want people in here, we want good people. We want people we can trust, people we want to refer to, who do quality work. So asking your spouse, your parents, your neighbors, your coworkers, your day babysitter, your hairdresser, good friends. Tier 2 is people you know and do business with. So for us old folks, a Rolodex, or your contact list on your phone, your mailing address, your contact. So your client list, your checkbook. Who do you do business with yourself? Look at your invoices. Look at your because if you do business with them, you must like them, like their work and how they work. So, and look at credit card statements. Who do again, doing business with. So all those things, and these are, again, people that you feel have quality person. Tier 3, people you kind of sort of know. It's not really a friend, but so people, church directors, golf league, sports, your kids' parents, your kids' coach, so association director. So you may be in a part of a real estate guild or those kind of things. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all those kind of groups that kind of by association, but not really. Going through those people. And the last tier is people you don't know yet. So they said bulletin boards, looking at, there's always bulletin boards at restaurants and health clubs and grocery stores, advertisements, coupons to receive a delivery van kind of thing.
Yelp.
Yes. The other thing I didn't talk about in here was we've all gone to networking events and we got a stack of business cards that I've heard from you, and you drag those out. You got a huge stack of those things. I've only been here 6 months, so going through those business cards. Who do we want to target? Who do we want to be part of? So, for next week, is to make this easy, 20 names. Just make it 20 names. Make it easy. Don't feel like you have to do everything at one time. 20 names. Bring 20 names next week. If you have challenges with this, you still, after all this, have a hard time, I'm going to do this. I've only been here 6 months. I'm going to figure out a way how to get 20 names and 40 names to this. So don't make me put you to shame with this. Next week, so we can do this together. So, so we're going to ask you next week to stand up and write down how many names you have. This kind of peer pressure, being part of this, yes. You can't call in sick for the next 5 weeks not do this. It really helps the group, it really helps the synergy, it helps to move forward. Someone's going to say, but what if I have a name that someone else has? That's fine, that's great. Because sometimes they'll say, I turned it down the first time, but I got a second letter or a third letter. So obviously, you guys think that I'm worth doing this and they'll show up. What if they're in a BNI you don't know about? That's okay. All BNIs do this. Everybody knows guys go, there'll be one of those one-halves that don't respond. So if you feel ambitious, you can go to the BNI site and check your name, make sure that you don't have to, I think it's the sheer numbers. So 20 names, phone number, addresses next week. Question?
I'm sorry to interrupt / contradict, but we've actually had a little bit of an issue with the BNI conflict in that there's so many BNI people in West Seattle and in Seattle that we've had a lot of times that come on finance can't focus on other groups. So I would actually either say we need to require people to run through their list on the BNI site, or if there's a couple of people that would volunteer going through the entire list at the end, it's a lot easier for each individually.
It's pretty easy to look up people.
It takes for 20 names, it takes like 5 minutes to do.
Yeah, so
You don't even have to be logged in. You just go to the site and it says search for a member, and you can put in their first name or their last name, and it'll tell you if they're in it.
So in case for the microphone, they didn't hear Rebecca, she brought up that there was a lot of issues with this in the past, so requesting that everybody search the names through the BNI site and make sure that they're not already BNI member. Because it shouldn't take very long.
Just maybe at the end, so I gotta find 2 more. These 2 people are off the list or something.
For us to have this be an effective and successful event and actually getting members to join, we all have to write 40 letters, we all have to make 40 phone calls, probably more than once, because you're not going to reach people the first time that you try to call them. And it's not about the number of cards that you fill out. If someone knows 20 people and they call them and they can really, and they're all really good people that are likely to join the group, I don't care if you mailed out 20 cards. If they're going to all be really solid people that you think are going to join, the key here is the follow-up. It's the phone calls, the personal invitation, and making sure that they're in the room and that they really are interested in joining BNI. The 40 is just an arbitrary number that they came up with. It's a manageable number, but each person's going to be able to do what they're able to do. 40 is just the guideline. You want to do 80, great, do 80. But you got to follow up with the 80. You just mail 80 cards and you don't follow up with them, you're going to get a very low turnout from that. Follow-up is really where you're going to get the attendance.
I was just going to add that you said 40 is the minimum, it's true, but you can send 50 if you want, like you said, but the other thing is that it is, part of the reason they don't make it bigger is that we have to follow up, and it means you calling 40, it means someone else calling your 40, and so I just don't think it would be eligible to raise that number of people. You just really follow up.
And that follow-up is so critical, it really is, to personal experience, it just makes all the difference overall. Yes.
Well, I just wanted to say that I used to live in New Orleans, and it's a wonderful city, and if you are fortunate enough to get chosen to go, you're going to have the greatest trip you've ever had that you'll never remember. But you got to participate when you're there.
Other questions?
I just have a tip for everyone who's newer in this group. So what I tend to do is all during the year, I collect cards from people that came to visit that I felt a connection to that maybe didn't join. And I keep that little stack next to, in a special place in my office because I know this is coming every year. And we're doing it this year and we'll do it next year. And I'm somebody that joined at one of these events. So, it can be a good thing.
It's a great thing.
I also go through my Facebook friends list. You
Yes.
there's lots of friends who are self-employed. I go through my database and you'd be surprised, small business people you never would think would join. So,
Exactly.
you know a lot more people than you think you do.
Yeah, Facebook is a great one.
And don't forget people in Soto or Darien or, other places in the city. It doesn't have to be West Seattle.
Right, yeah, it does not have to be West Seattle at all. It can be, like Paul drives, and other people in front of the area. So, yeah. Other questions?
Do we have to have addresses too next week or just the names?
Names.
Okay.
But I mean, it would make more sense as you're going through your names to get the address and phone number, because that's going to be phase 2, is the follow-up.
Right, so if you have somebody's business card and they don't have that, you can look up online, Google it, see if they come up. If they don't come up, try the Washington State Business License search. That will pull up. Yeah.
So remember, this is a very task-driven process. There's a lot of work that's involved in doing it, and I don't want you to lose track of the fact that this is marketing. This is you marketing for your own business. We're all going to benefit from members that join, but you have to think about it as this is going to be business for me down the road, or else you're going to be you're going to have a bad attitude about coming up with the 40 names, and maybe a bad attitude about following up, and you're not going to want to spend the time on it because it's hard to associate that being business for you. But for sure, this is all of us making our businesses more successful. So just keep that in mind when you're wanting and growing about what you're doing.
One important thing for everybody who hasn't done this before, if you want, it's great to have competition. So if you're looking for something specific and you send out, like one year I sent out like at least 12 invites to graphic designers because that's what I was looking for at the time. So you don't have to pick 40 different things. You can,
But if you find people that are in your publishing, it's actually easier to make the invite through the phone call later as well, right? I mean, for me to call up a CPA and say, we really need a CPA, I have people I talk to about finances all the time, I have no one to refer them to. would you be interested in coming? There's something in it for them also versus me calling a pet groomer that I've got a dog. You know, Rick would be the person that would not want to do that because he's got access to hundreds of dogs. So it does help if you could focus on what's missing in your power team. It's a great place to start, and it's a great way for you to offer value to the people that are potentially going to come, because that's the goal, is to get them in to come and see what we're all about, meet us, and then fall in love with us because we're such a wonderful group and enjoy it.